This is the sentence diagramming explanation for week 9. We're working primarily with who and whom, and a little bit more with clauses. Just it's nothing new, but just to give you some extra practice. Before we get too far into things, I want to talk about the difference between who and whom, and whoever and whomever. Keep in mind that who is going to be functioning as a subject, so it's going to work with a verb. While whom and whomever is going to be functioning as an object receiving the action of the verb. An easy way for me to remember the difference is to use he and him to correspond with who and whom. And it's easy to remember because whom and him both end in M. So those are the ones that are parallel, and then you have who and he work the same way. So if you're not sure, if you don't want to think about how it's functioning, if it's a subject or an object, you can substitute he and him, and your ear will tell you the difference. So this first one is for whom, because it's the object of the preposition, as I put here. And so we've got the whom. Now we go through and we just do this like we normally would. This one's a little bit different because it's a question, and so the order of words are changed, but the principles still apply. Our subject is I. Our verbs are should make being the primary verb. Make what? A copy. So we have subject I, should make verbs, transitive verb, and copy is the direct object. We have our indefinite article below copy, and then we have for whom should I make a copy. This one you could put as either pattern 7 or pattern 8. It technically is an indirect object because they're receiving the copy. The whom is the receiver of the direct object, which makes it an indirect object. But the book makes a kind of arbitrary distinction and says if there is a preposition, then it becomes a prepositional phrase, whereas if the preposition is only implied and not written, it's an indirect object. So you could say either this is a prepositional phrase and it's a pattern 7, or you could say this is the indirect object and it's a pattern 8. Hopefully that's not too confusing for you. In this one we have a verb with no subject, and so it's going to be who is in this picture. Or you could do the he, him thing and say he is in this picture. Him is in this picture wouldn't make sense, so it's not going to be whom. So we have who is our subject, is our verb, and then we have the prepositional phrase that goes below. So this is a really simple pattern 1 with a subject and a be verb. This one's a little bit more complicated. We've got a little bit more going on. We start with our whoever or whomever and then a verb. So since we have a verb with no subject, we know that we need the subject form of the word, and that is going to be whoever. Whoever sings well, and that's where we're going to stop right now. So whoever is our subject, sings is our verb, well is an adverb. And that's all. So that's pattern 6. And then we encounter 2 more verbs. And so we know that this is functioning as a noun clause because you have to have a subject, a noun working with the verb. So we're going to put that on a pedestal in the noun slot. So here's our subject, and then our verbs is should be, and then we have a prepositional phrase in the talent show, which goes below. So we have subject and a be verb, which is pattern 1, and then whoever sings is subject and action verb without anything, so that's a pattern 6. We start off with our thing going on here, but then we keep looking, we know that we have our subject and our verb, so we know that this is going to be functioning as the object. So we sponsor, subject verb, we sponsor whom or what? We sponsor whomever, we sponsor someone. So that is subject, verb, direct object, and then we have in the talent show is our preposition. And then again, we have a verb that's sitting here all by itself. So we need a subject, we need a noun. This whole thing again, just like in the last one, is the noun clause. So that goes on the pedestal in that noun slot at the beginning. Then we put our verb should be, and we end this time with an adjective. So with a subject, be verb, and adjective as the subjective complement, we have a pattern 2. I met is subject verb. I met whom? The person. So that is subject, verb, direct object, pattern 7. And then who or whom won the trophy? So we have just a verb without a subject, so we know we're going to need the subject form. Who won the trophy? So who is the subject? Won is the verb. Trophy is what was won, the direct object. So that's a pattern 7 as well. And then we just need to relate these two clauses. How are they connecting? Who is replacing person. So that clause is describing more about this person. And so the line directs or connects person and who. I met person again. So same thing. We're not going to spend much time on that because we just looked at it. And then we go to the second half and we have you hired last week. So we have a subject and a verb. So we need an object. Or you can do the he, him test. You hired him. So you hired whom? Subject, verb, direct object goes here. And then last week is answering the question of when. So that goes below hired. No preposition, so the slant is empty, but we have our noun on the horizontal and our modifier on the slant. And then we just need to figure out how these are connecting. Again, we're clarifying this idea of person is the what we hired, and the pronoun that's replacing it is whom. So that's where our lines go. This one, our subject is reward, and belongs is the verb, and then we have a preposition. So let's stop right there and do what we've got so far. We have this with reward, our verb is belongs, and then we have our preposition to plus the noun. So again, we've got a noun clause, the rest of the sentence. So it's going to go up on the pedestal in the object of the preposition where that noun would normally go, that simple noun. We do have a subject and a verb, so we put that on our main line for our clause. We select, and we select whomever. We select him, object, so we need the M, and that becomes the direct object for that sentence. So we have a simple subject, action verb, which is a pattern 6, and an intransitive verb. And then we have subject, transitive verb, and direct object, which is pattern 7. Again, we have reward belongs to, so that's going to be exactly the same with the pattern 6 as we saw in the last exercise. But this time the end is different. We have a verb claims what? It. So we're missing a subject. So we're going to use the whoever because he claims it. He corresponds with who. And so that is our subject. Whoever claims is our verb. It is our direct object, and again, it's the object of the preposition. So it goes on that horizontal line following the preposition, and it's a pattern 7. And that is it. Short and sweet. Fewer exercises. Still a lot going on with both noun clauses, relative clauses, and the difference between who and